The Gold Seekers of 1849. Picture New England in the autumn of 1848. Quiet farms, granite quarries, church bells on Sunday. Then a rumor drifts east from a place most folks can't even find on a map, California. Gold, they say, rivers full of it, a poor man's fortune waiting to be scooped out of the sand. At first, nobody believes it. Surely it's some scheme to lure settlers west. But by winter, the government itself confirms the news, and the fever breaks loose. Ships crowd the harbors of Boston and New York, fitting themselves out for the long haul around Cape Horn. Others gamble on the shorter, deadlier crossing through Panama, where thousands find themselves stranded on a jungle isthmus with no way forward and no way back. Among the restless is a young farmhand from Pelham, New Hampshire, 20 years old, raised on hard work and granite dust, methodical by nature, the kind of man who keeps a journal even when his hands are blistered and his boots are falling apart. His name is Kimball Webster, and in the spring of 1849, he joins a company of fellow New Englanders determined to cross an entire continent on foot and by wagon, chasing a rumor. What follows is not a tale of instant riches. It is a slow, grinding, magnificent ordeal. The company sets out with oxen, mules, and wagons loaded with provisions meant to last the journey, though nothing, it turns out, can be packed enough for what lies ahead. They cross the great rolling plains, follow the Platte River into country no fence has ever touched, and begin to understand what the emigrant trail really costs. Grass grows thin, water turns brackish or vanishes for entire days. Ice forms on the buckets some August mornings, while withering desert heat waits for them by noon. Day after day, Webster's pen records the plain facts: miles traveled, springs found or not found, grass good or poor, the state of the animals. There is no exaggeration in him, no embellishment, and that plainness is exactly what makes the account so vivid. When he writes that a barren stretch was destitute of wood, water, and grass, you feel the thirst in it. When ice forms a quarter-inch thick overnight in the middle of what should be summer, you feel how far from home he really is. The company pushes through Fort Bridger Cottry, past landmarks that have already become legend among the emigrants: South Pass, the Sublette Cutoff, the endless alkali flats where the going is easiest on the eye and hardest on the stock. Cattle and mules, worn to exhaustion, are left behind on the trail, one by one, silent markers of the journey's toll. Sickness stalks the wagon trains. Cholera claims the unlucky. Comrades who set out together in high spirits fall away, some to disease, some simply to despair, unable to finish what they started. And still, the survivors keep walking. They cross the Snake River country, strike the old trail from Fort Hall, meet other trains coming down from Salt Lake City, trade rumors about secret gold strikes the Mormons are supposedly working in the hills. Webster records it all with the same careful, skeptical eye. He has seen no good reason to believe every tale that reaches camp, and he says so. Autumn is closing in by the time the last, hardest mountains rise ahead of them, the final gauntlet before the promised land. When Webster and what remains of his company finally stumble down into California, it is less a triumphant arrival than a survival. They have crossed a continent that swallowed lesser resolve whole. But the story doesn't end at the gold fields. California is only the beginning of the next chapter. Webster tries his hand as a miner, working the gravel and river bars alongside thousands of other fortune seekers from every corner of the world, a rough, improvised, lawless society built almost overnight out of tents and dreams. He sees the placer camps in their full chaos, men made rich in an afternoon, men ruined just as fast, entire mountainsides torn apart by pick and pan. Eventually, the miner's life gives way to something steadier. Webster's precise, observant nature, the same instinct that filled his trail journal with exact mileages and honest complaints, finds a better use in surveying. He heads north into Oregon Territory, where his skills as a land examiner and surveyor put him to work mapping a country still being drawn onto American maps for the first time. For several more years, he threads through the Pacific Northwest's forests and river valleys, a quiet chronicler of a landscape most Americans back east could scarcely imagine. In 1854, 5 years after he left Pelham chasing rumors of gold, Webster finally turns for home. He never strikes it rich in the way the fever promised, no sudden fortune, no glittering nugget that changes everything. What he brings back instead is something rarer, a witness's record of one of the great human migrations in American history, written not for glory, but simply because keeping careful notes was who he was. He goes on to live a long New England life, surveyor, town historian, respected citizen, husband, father to 5 daughters. It is only in his 80s, looking back across more than 60 years, that the old journal of his youth finally becomes a book. Published the year after his death, The Gold Seekers of '49 stands less as an adventure story than a plain, honest voice speaking across time. One ordinary young man's account of an extraordinary age, when a rumor of gold set half a nation walking west.